Do you ever feel or pull something inside you that hints life isn't only what you see, what you touch, or what you believe is real? What if this life you're living isn't your only act on the cosmic stage? What if this could be your last life, but only if you recognize the signs? Today, we'll explore 5 insights drawn from the readings of Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, that may reveal whether you are reaching the end of your incarnations. Cayce gave more than 14,000 readings while in a self-induced trance state. These readings touched on health, spirituality, the afterlife, and the evolution of the soul. At the heart of his messages was the belief that we live not once, but many times. Each incarnation provides lessons, experiences, and opportunities for growth, like chapters in one long spiritual book. Eventually, the soul completes its purpose and no longer needs to return. That is when the cycle of reincarnation ends and a higher state of being begins. The question is, how can you tell if you're near that moment? Cayce describes certain signals, inner markers, that suggest the soul is graduating from the cycle of rebirth. They are not about ego, not about titles or possessions, but about alignment, service, forgiveness, and freedom. To explore these signs, let's begin with the first one. Sign number 1. You find that your deepest lessons no longer come through conflict, but through peace. In earlier lifetimes, growth often came through hardship. Wars, betrayals, struggles for survival, painful relationships, these were the crucibles of learning. Yet in a final life, lessons shift. You discover growth through harmony rather than friction. Instead of fighting enemies, you learn to embrace them. Instead of being torn apart by loss, you find clarity in letting go. When challenges arrive, you no longer collapse under their weight. You see them as opportunities to embody patience, love, or forgiveness. This change in how lessons appear is one of the strongest signs. If your growth now comes more from giving, healing, and creating than from suffering or conflict, it may be that your soul has passed through enough incarnations to finally graduate. Peace itself becomes the teacher. Service itself becomes the classroom. That shift, subtle but profound, is where the path toward your last life truly begins. The second sign is alignment with purpose. Cayce taught that each soul chooses the circumstances of its life before birth. Families, challenges, even the time period are selected to offer specific lessons. In most lives, people wander. They search for meaning. They chase paths that are not their own. They try on identities like clothes, never quite sure what fits. But in a final life, that searching begins to ease. You feel drawn into work, creativity, or service that feels natural, as if you were born for it because you were. This doesn't mean the road is free of obstacles, but it does mean there is a sense of inner harmony between who you are, what you do, and why you are here. Perhaps you've noticed that opportunities align almost mysteriously. Doors open without force, or even your struggles feel purposeful. This sense of flow is not luck. It is the unfolding of a path your soul has been building across lifetimes. If you are living in that alignment now, it may be a signal that you are completing your purpose rather than endlessly searching for it. And while we're exploring these teachings together, if you find this kind of reflection meaningful, consider subscribing so you can walk this path with us. It's a simple way to stay connected as we explore more of Cayce's wisdom. The third sign is the release of attachment. Cayce warned that souls who cling to desires or fears often return to satisfy them. Those bound to wealth return to seek more. Those bound to resentment return to confront it again. But a soul ready to finish its cycle begins to let go. The need for approval, the drive for possessions, the fear of loss all begin to dissolve. You enjoy life without clinging to it. You appreciate beauty, but you do not need to own it. You value relationships, but you are not broken when they change. This release is not coldness, It is freedom. You begin to see that nothing external defines you. And in that clarity, you realize you are already whole. If you are finding yourself less concerned with status, less troubled by what others think, and more at ease with the temporary nature of life, that is another sign. The soul that can let go is the soul that no longer needs to return. The fourth sign is compassion and forgiveness, not only for others, but also for yourself. According to Edgar Cayce, knowledge alone never advances the soul. What truly matters is the living of love. Many of us, across lifetime after lifetime, become trapped in cycles of judgment and blame. We hold anger against those who harmed us, we punish ourselves for mistakes, and we refuse to release the weight of guilt. This cycle binds us, and until it is broken, the lessons return again and again. But in a final life, the cycle begins to dissolve. Forgiveness ceases to be a struggle. It becomes almost instinctive, a natural state of being. Imagine looking back at a betrayal and, instead of bitterness, feeling understanding. Imagine remembering your own failures and, instead of shame, seeing them as necessary steps along the path. That is the shift. The heart softens. Compassion rises, even for those you once considered enemies. You no longer need to carry resentment like armor. You begin to see people through a gentler lens, recognizing that their mistakes come from the same confusion and pain you once carried. In that moment of recognition, the karmic knot unravels. Cayce described forgiveness as a kind of spiritual alchemy. When you forgive someone, you do not erase what happened, but you dissolve the bond of pain between you. The anger no longer chains you. The resentment no longer drags you back. Even more profound is the act of self-forgiveness. How many lifetimes have souls spent punishing themselves for old choices, carrying regret as though it were a badge of identity? In a final incarnation, this burden is finally released. To whisper, "I am forgiven, I am free, I am whole," is to close a chapter that may have stretched across centuries. Forgiveness is more than an act of kindness. It is a key that unlocks the soul's prison. Cayce often emphasized that holding on to hatred or guilt ties us to the material plane. We return to play out the same dramas until we learn to let go. But when forgiveness flows naturally, the need to repeat the lesson fades. This shift signals that your soul may be approaching its last required journey on earth. And then comes the fifth sign, a quiet inner knowing that you no longer need to return, though you might choose to. This awareness is not despair. It is not a desire to escape. It is a calm recognition: my work here is complete. Death is no longer feared, because it is no longer the end. It becomes a passageway into a greater home you already sense. If you were to return again, it would not be out of compulsion. It would be out of choice. You would come back only to serve, to guide, or to share light with others. That quiet sense of completion, gentle, steady, without pride, is one of the clearest signals that this may be your last incarnation. This does not mean you stop living. On the contrary, it frees you to live more deeply than ever. Because when you are no longer chained to fear of the future or regret of the past, every moment becomes luminous. Each breath becomes sacred. You live not in desperation, but in peace. And that peace, according to Cayce, is the soul's true graduation. As we move deeper into the journey of understanding the unseen forces that shape our lives, it becomes clear that the subtle energies surrounding us are not merely abstract concepts. They are living, breathing aspects of our reality. These energies are like threads woven into the very fabric of existence, invisible to the eye, yet profoundly influential in every thought, every action, and every moment of decision. When we begin to perceive them, even faintly, a new world opens, a world where synchronicities are no longer coincidences, but messages, guides, and gentle nudges from a universe that is far more aware and intelligent than we often give it credit for. Consider the patterns that appear repeatedly in your life. Perhaps it's a number that keeps showing up, a song on the radio at precisely the right moment, or a sudden meeting with someone who changes the course of your day or even your life. These are not mere accidents. They are signposts, reflections of your inner state, and confirmations that you are aligned or misaligned with your true path. Many people dismiss these occurrences, labeling them as random chance, but those who are attuned learn to recognize the rhythm beneath the randomness, the pulse of a reality that is orchestrating itself in harmony with your consciousness. At the core of this awareness is a profound understanding: everything in existence is vibration. Matter, energy, thought, and emotion, all are forms of vibration interacting in an intricate, invisible dance. Your own body is a symphony of vibrations, your heart beating in time with your energy field, your mind sending ripples into the world with every thought. The more conscious you become of these vibrations, the more capable you are of directing them. You begin to see that your state of being, your level of fear, joy, anger, or love creates patterns in your life that manifest outwardly. But perception alone is not enough. True mastery comes with integration, bringing these subtle realities into the tangible plane of daily life. This integration requires both awareness and discipline, the willingness to observe yourself without judgment, and the courage to take responsibility for your own energy. When you notice a recurring negative pattern, you are no longer a passive participant. Instead, you become an active agent, capable of shifting your vibration, adjusting your focus, and aligning with the life you truly desire. It is a process that demands patience, but the results are transformative. One of the most powerful tools for this integration is meditation, not as a ritual to escape reality, but as a practice to immerse fully in it. Through meditation, you learn to quiet the chatter of the mind, to feel the subtle currents of energy that flow through your body, and to witness the external world from a place of inner stillness. In this state, the barriers between self and universe blur, and you begin to perceive the interconnectedness of all things. Decisions become clearer, relationships become more harmonious, and even challenges carry an unexpected clarity, and knowing that each obstacle is a teacher, each setback a guidepost pointing toward deeper understanding. Yet, awareness alone cannot shield us from the trials of life. There is a necessary interplay between light and shadow, a balance that cannot be avoided. Just as the sun cannot shine without the night, consciousness cannot expand without encountering resistance. These moments of difficulty are not punishments. They are accelerators, catalysts designed to refine your vibration and reveal the depth of your resilience. How you respond to these challenges, whether with fear, denial, or grace, ultimately shapes the trajectory of your journey. Ultimately, this journey is about awakening to the truth that life is a co-creative dance between the seen and unseen, the known and the mysterious. It is about embracing the subtle forces that guide us, learning to move in harmony with them, and realizing that the power to shape our reality lies not in external circumstances, but in the conscious mastery of our own energy. Each step taken in awareness, each moment of intentional presence, is a declaration that we are not merely passengers in life, but active participants in a universe that is alive, intelligent, and profoundly responsive. And so, as we stand on the threshold of this understanding, we are invited to take a deep breath and look within, to recognize the infinite potential that resides in every choice, every thought, every heartbeat. The path may be challenging, the mysteries deep, but the rewards are immeasurable: clarity, purpose, and the profound joy of knowing that we are, indeed, co-creators of our own destiny, dancing in rhythm with the unseen currents that shape all existence.